chose the ones that I did. I chose to fish Allegan, Macatawa, Hess Lake, and Mona Lake. Basically just for that one reason, watercolor. For the first Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we had pretty decent weather conditions, and then things went downhill from there. But on Saturday, when you and I went, you guys interested in knowing the structure situations where we caught our fish? Anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, all I did was go fishing. On Allegan is the big flatland reservoir.
Little flatland.
Yeah. Well, it's got about 800 acres of water. It's got about 5 fishing spots, and those 5 fishing spots are very small, or really small in comparison to the acreage of water that's there. A lot of the reservoir is silted in. There's only a few spots. It's got the river channel where it's really noticeable. A lot of areas is flat and just completely void of structure situations. One of the best spots in the reservoir, this is the shoreline. One of the best spots in the reservoir is an area where the river channel hits up against this bank, makes a bend, comes out around here. Let's do it like this. It also splits and goes this way. When it does that, it forms an island right here. And on this island, the depth right here is about 16 feet where it comes in close to the bank. It's about 11 feet here, about 11 feet here, and where it turns and makes a bend, it forms a 14-foot hole right here. Make it a little...
How deep the whole lake?
The maximum depth is about 20 feet at the dam. This 14-foot hole has got a finger, and then another finger, and this is the end of the hole. So you got 14 foot right here. You got a snag right here, which is a break for the fish to use in their movements and migrations. Right here is 6 foot, 6 foot, 14 feet. Over here is another bar that comes off of here. Goes like that. It's about 4 foot here. You can anchor on this finger and you can cast and reach all the way across the channel. That's how small it is. This hole from here to there is no longer than from here to the shower room right there. So you're talking about a real little spot. Chase and I caught smallmouth on both those fingers, and we caught walleyes at the end of the hole. And our trolling passes were right here. Were made in this direction, back and forth, back and forth. And we found those spots by using Mr. Perry's guidelines, trolling the shallows, just moving out, just keep doing it until you find the fish and locate the structure situations. A lot of the fish are caught there casting. Once you catch them trolling, you stop and cast. Denny, I think, caught 13, 12 or 13, whatever. Debbie and I, a couple weeks ago, done about the same thing on there. Deb had about 6 of them, over 3 pounds. I think she landed 1.
I think I landed 3 of it.
What do you do, Frank? What do you do?
Straight up out of the water, forget it.
Crank the motor up.
Oh, we was catching casting, Frank.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Another situation we found in Allegan was where the river channel runs a long straight line. It's probably the longest, most of the places it just makes back and forth, back and forth. But this is the longest straight line in the whole place, and then all of a sudden it turns. It goes all the way over, let's just call this the shoreline over here. It goes all the way over this shoreline. When it does that, it forms a hump right here. That's about how it's shaped. This hump's like 4 feet deep on top. This is 14 foot here, and it's got a nice break line that breaks from 12 to 14. Your deepest water is about 14 or 15 foot right there. This is all clean and hard. When the fish move good, you can find them all over the top of this. It makes a nice finger out here, and there's 11 foot flatter and all get out right out here. Big finger, and you got about 12 foot of water here, and you got about 14 foot back here. But this is the old river channel. You catch them along here, there's a finger right here. And that's a contact point where they come up. We hit a school of largemouth there, we hit walleyes there, and we hit smallmouth all over the top of there. And that hump was created when this bend took place right there. Washed it all up on there and it created a hump. Does that look familiar to you, Frank? Work your way deeper, and by gosh, you'll find out what happens. See where we go the next day. We went to Hess. I just drew that spot where we hit them on. In Hess Lake, you got a hole. Let's say the biggest hole in the lake, where most of the fish are caught. Let's draw it like this. See if I can mess it up.
There you're close.
Huh?
You're close, yeah.
I'm not sure what this does down here.
Yeah, you're pretty close.
I think it
Comes
goes
back
about
in.
like that.
Yeah, it comes back in. Comes out on the hard side.
This is the biggest, deepest hole in Hess Lake. This is about 24, 23.
24,
So that's your maximum depth of water right there.
24, 26.
Your watercolor is about like this right here. It's a dark yellow green. You can see down about a foot. See your lure down about a foot. Your fingers are all, your fish are all caught right here on all your fingers. This is the spot where we caught them on that time we brought them back here.
Is that cause that's where you fish for?
Might be. This break line, there's a break line in here at about 8 to 10 feet. And that's your main break line. There's another one about 14. This lake has got goo this thick.
Don't want to throw a Carolina
It's just
rig
like
in, I'll tell you that.
It's just like a Florida lake. You let your anchor out, and when you pick it up, your anchor's black on your rope this far up.
4 feet down.
You can contour troll these break lines and find these fingers. And when you find these fingers,
Tell them how you find the fingers. They're hard. Most of them are hard.
this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is not. But there's a big school of bass right here uses this finger right there. And I think what makes them come up there, it's on a finger, and there's also a big snag on that finger, which is a break on a break line.
And if you get out there and look at about 11 feet, it's just a little sharper break right there in one spot. Breaks a little quicker in one spot, right?
But this lake is a piece of cake. I mean, if anybody lives around here and don't fish this, I guess I can't feel sorry for them.
And it's loaded with northern.
It's loaded.
Is that Hess?
Yeah, this is Hess.
Once you've made
Florida
contact,
until
John,
yesterday.
Yeah, so
then do you switch to
Then
spin
you
like
move
that?
past-
it's the softest stuff you ever seen.
You don't normally have to even go that far, Frank. You don't have to go
What
that
if you
far.
want to go that far?
You go ahead.
Go ahead, fool.
I would say that if a man didn't catch any fish, if we went there and we didn't catch any fish, after we got done working down to about 14 feet, we'd probably check a little deeper.
But don't you want to just know what's down there?
We do.
Just all good.
It's all good. Sealed
You
it
can't tell whether you're walking or not.
No.
If you run
You
too
don't-
much
you
line,
get-
you get black stuff up your line about this long, and you bring it in, and there's red worms on it. You've probably seen them too, haven't you?
Yeah.
Dora. Like Dora in Florida. That's what you run into.
You ever found a hard spot out there in that stuff?
Dora?
In any lake that's got a goose situation, do you ever find a hard spot out there in the middle of the lake?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the deepest section?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't explain it, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I can think of two right off the bat. One is
You'd
Yosemite.
have to believe it was a hump, wouldn't you?
You what?
You'd have to believe it was like a hump.
Was it caused by some old flow or some channel that used to be there?
One of them is.
Probably
The
a
other-
channel there now. isn't it?
You what?
Probably a channel there now. Isn't it? The reason it's hard.
I honestly, and truth, I can't answer that. I, mean,
A little current.
I would like to. He stuck me on that one. Because I'm a wiseacre on some things, but on that,
Maybe a little current coming through there.
I don't know. It's just right in. It'd be a small area, and it's there. Matter of fact, in Pickwick, and I'm taking away from your talk, but in Pickwick, there's some areas down in the back channel where you go down and you're in the deepest area, and then all of a sudden there's some hard areas down in the very bottom with little potholes like things like catfish or water in the mouth or something.
Yeah, but there's a lot of current there at times, even on the backside.
Yeah, but you wonder, you know, you could understand current washing. Why? Because we know that when fish are in sanctuary, they're in the non-dormant, non-chasing mood. But there is the actual fact that if you've got 4, 5, or 6 fish there, and they're the biggest fish in the lake, and those fish do become active at some point. When they do become active, there is a moment when they move from being dormant to 2 inches over this way when they start moving in that direction. So when they're dormant, they're non-chasing, but when they actually wake up or flare their mouth or whatever and move over, then they're catchable, right? So you may not catch that fish in sanctuary, but you may catch him 1 inch out of sanctuary. So I believe that you can catch those fish when they become active, not when they're dormant, but there has to be that point where they move away from it, right? Or they become active in place. He said they become active in place, so they're catchable then, right? So I catch fish in those positions because I fish those positions. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't give up on them. I'll stay out there. I would, if I find a place like that, I figure I'm the only person that knows anything about it, and that those fish haven't seen anybody, and I'll stay there with it until I prove it wrong or prove it right. And then I might catch 1 fish or 2 fish, or I might catch none. But the fish that I catch is going to be bigger fish. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
Okay. I mean, it's just a philosophy. What you go do, catch 10 small fish or 1 good fish.
What you're saying is worth your time, if you have the time, to go out there and check it out.
That's the mystery, and that's the fun. Once you prove it, then you know that it's there. You got it in your pocket. You know? So that's that for it. I would think if that hole, if all those fish are around there right now, we're the biggest fish. You there someplace?
They weren't where we were. They're bigger than 8 pounds in there.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, someplace out in there is where that fish is. And that's the one I'd personally get excited over and want to go for. But you're not gonna catch as many of them.
I think we understand that.
Do what?
That makes a lot of sense. Going these here little lakes like they're going, those are baby lakes. Just small fish there.
Well, for every 8-pound fish, there's probably 35 or 40 4-pounders. And for every 35 or 40 4-pounders, there's probably 80 or 90 2-pounders.
There must be some 40, 50 foot water in these lakes around here. I can see them boys hit them lakes. They've got these lakes in their pocket. Forget about them. Taking people out to teach them.
Still, it's fun to catch fish.
That's why we go. Catch fish. I don't care if we got them in our pocket.
You can catch all the fish you want. You can catch all the fish you want.
Way too. I'd rather have 2 big 8-pounders than I would 6 or 8 or 10 4-pounders. I want to see them 2 8-pounders. There's a guy over there thinks the same way.
Well, that's the challenge. But that's what everybody's working up to. That's what everybody wants to continue to.
I mean, you got to have a goal, and everybody's goal is a little different. My father-in-law, he's satisfied with 20 of them about like that. That
Not
just
anymore.
satisfies him all to death.
Till he catches 1 8-pounder, and he'll run over to your house as fast as it's unreal.
He does. It just takes a little less to satisfy him than it does me. But that's him, you know. And what's good for him is good for him, you know. And I don't ever fault the guy for that. This is where was I? Macatawa, Lake Macatawa. This is the best structure situation I found in the whole lake. This is a huge bar. If anybody wants to know where this is at, there's another bar over here, and there's a marina back here. This is on the northwest corner of the lake.
Big bay.
Okay. This is the bar with there's a big red buoy out here, and there's a big concrete structure right there. Anyways, this is probably 6 feet on top. 4 or 6, I think it's 6 feet quite a ways. This is shoreline right here. We caught 35 smallmouth off of this finger and this finger. What day was that?
Wednesday.
What day do you and I go, Ted?
Wednesday.
It'd be Tuesday.
So you caught those on Tuesday.
Yeah, I guess
You
it
called
was
me
on
Tuesday
Tuesday.
night. Said,
Okay.
get up here.
Yeah.
That was up there Wednesday.
The biggest was about 3 pounds. We had about 10 of them around 3 pounds, and Ted and I went up there the next day and caught about 6 or 7 of them about 3 pounds. Deb and I caught a few of them that was 3 pounds off, but it must be 3-pounder must be a pretty good fish in there. But
That's a nice smallmouth.
you got about 16 foot of water out here. Matter of fact, you got a channel that cuts in here. I don't know if this is an old river channel or what it is.
It's an old creek channel.
Yeah, it's an old, big old creek channel. Out here you got about 20 foot, and there's a lot of 16 right here, 16. This would be 6, 10 out here. Anyways, we caught fish on this finger, we caught fish on this finger, caught them on this finger, caught them on this finger, caught some here on this inside turn, and Deb and I caught a couple nice ones off that finger. And I caught a 33-inch carp. This is a boat cut through here that they dredged for the big boats to come in. We caught a big carp off of that. But as you can see, just like everything else, all the fish that we found were on structure situations. They were on the fingers.
How big a body of water are we talking?
This bar itself is probably
It's big.
a mile long.
Oh, half a mile.
It's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that.
Is it?
Quarter of a mile, half a mile.
Half
Is
a
it?
mile.
Half a
probably.
mile.
It's
What's huge?
Now, where's the shoreline?
The shoreline's back here.
All right, and this is out in the lake.
Right.
All right,
You have a weed line up here that only goes down to about 5 feet,
okay.
4 or 5 feet.
Now, when you started trolling the shoreline, right?
We were
Find
pretty
all this.
familiar with this lake. We fished it a couple times.
But how did you find all this structure from the beginning? Did you find it or somebody showed it to you?
No,
Oh,
we
no.
found it.
All right, how'd you go about finding it?
We found the break lines and we contour trolled the shallows, and the shallows led all the way out here. And we located the fingers by doing that. Once we saw, our interpretation told us, hey, this is a good fishing spot. Then we went to work on those spots. So you throw markers and make straight line passes and start shallow and work deeper until you find fish. And we did that with anything we caught any fish on. We go to the cast or we work it with more
Did you
passes.
catch- Have you caught a good many in this area casting?
Just here.
On
Just here. We caught some casting there, we caught some casting there.
How deep was it over on that side?
This side,
Yeah.
this side broke off quite a bit sharper than this. Over here you had some 20 foot of water, pretty close to 8 foot of water. Over here it was, you didn't have quite the depth. I was surprised to find the fish that we found back in here because
How far
there's
was that 28 foot?
I don't think
Good
there's
ways
any
off.
28 foot in here.
What you got there? 20?
Channel
20.
20. Oh, 20.
There is an old river, there is an old channel out here. And
It's
it
a
does,
dredge shipping channel.
yeah. Most of it runs on the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
I did find a delta out here on the end of this bar. Ted and I found it. And it quit right there. And the top of it was about 14 feet on top. And you know what was interesting? I had fished, there's another bar right next to this, very similar to it. And I had never had a chance to work too deep off the end of it. And I have yet to catch many fish off that bar. And I told Ted, look here, this is probably why, because this is a delta and it ran all the way across in front of that bar. So anything, when this quit, your deeper water ran right up against this side. So if any of this is good, it's probably from here on down a little ways. I would say that this probably wouldn't be any good back here. Wouldn't you say the same, Frank? If anything, it wouldn't go very far down. So, I mean, this delta covered the whole front face
I'm a
of this
little
bar.
You said there's some kind of a barge channel out here that, you've got
Yeah.
a creek channel running right here, and then you've got a deeper area on the other side. What's causing that? If that's a channel at 20 foot right there, what does it connect to?
It comes out.
This is a big bay.
It comes
So
out.
is this
that-
20
that-
foot?
that's
The
the
farther
channel
you get back in
comes
here,
out
this-
to the river channel,
yeah, this goes out
to the main channel.
to the main body
Okay,
of
so
water.
there is a main channel out there, so
Yeah.
you're back
Yeah.
up in and invade. Okay.
Right. That's
Just
why
beyond that delta.
I was really surprised. I would say these fish live here. Either that or they're post-spawn smallmouth.
Yeah, that might be.
You know, that might be the same situation as with the largemouth ring. Who knows?
They have 20 foot of water out there, you know, that's a big lake.
Well, you fished there other times of year, and you've been up here different years in the past, and you fished this.
Yeah.
Is this strange to find them right here?
Yeah.
Chuck and I caught them
Did you?
last year. Yeah, we
And
caught.
what time?
We caught.
What time?
We was in June. We
So
caught some on them
So
fingers.
it was still post-spawn fish.
I would say.
Usually we catch them on this side of the bar pretty good.
In the summertime?
Yeah.
Okay. And not back in there?
Right.
Yeah, because that's really back in there.
It is.
Do you ever fish those bars on the other side that lead out to that river channel, out to the dredge channel? There's some that go right up, right out to it.
Yeah.
Do you ever,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
fished
do you ever
we
work
fished them.
those?
Yeah.
Are they, yeah, how do you do on those?
Well, we've only fished this lake about 4 times now, probably. And every time we go there, we get on this thing, we get to catch a fish, and it's hard to get away from it. It really is. But we have done some on the other side, but not much good.
On Wednesday, I hooked a couple off of that one, what you call the rock pile there. That's actually, like out here, there's a marker, it's a green buoy is what it is, on a rock pile, right at the tip of that. And that's not far from that channel. And that's really a nice looking piece of structure.
Don't they catch walleyes there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they catch
We
walleyes.
did catch a. Is that you, Ted?
You caught a, yeah. One of
How
you
big
guys
was that walleye we caught?
7-8 pounds.
It was right there. Right there's the best structure in the lake.
Yeah.
Right off the end of every one of these bars is a huge rock
Cement, isn't it?
cement. Goes right down to the bottom of the lake, and it's got a light on the end of it.
Yeah, and it's 6 foot of water.
Talk about a marker.
This side of it's 6 foot of water. This side of it, you can just see it on your depth finder. It looks like this. All the way down about 20 feet. And you can just walk a spoon plug down through there. You get hung up once in a while.
A little bit of line on it.
But on the end of several bars in here, you got them.
There's a lot of,
The first
lot
fisherman
of
just
things on that.
just fished the dog out of it.
It's mostly rock.
Have you fished it in the summertime? I mean, when it's,
I haven't fished it, so.
what you would call your summertime, when you know fish are in summer depths?
No, we never come up here to. We only fish it when we're up here this time. Denny and I fished it one time and caught a carp with no tail.
Yeah.
Denny says there's something wrong with this lake.
I wouldn't touch him, I'll tell you that. You have no tail. Just, you getting after. 4 fish, wiggle
That-
real funny.
That's we had some decent weather conditions to fish with, and
There's some big fish in that lake.
we was
fellas,
pretty
I'll tell you what.
successful.
I had one on when Chuck, I was up here in June last
until
year,
the weather
or
conditions
year
left.
before. I had a big fish on.
Left
I
us.
never turned him, so I don't know what it was.
Well, there's nothing like a natural lake there. I mean, that's just a reservoir.
That's what it is.
What were
Yeah.
you trolling with? 200?
250s and 200s a lot.
What, Lake Macatawa?
Yeah.
That's not a reservoir.
Regular.
It's
Yeah.
It's a natural lake.
Yeah, we took our wire with us. But
One of the
Stream
inland
coming
lakes.
through it.
yeah.
Pardon me?
One of the inland lakes, is that what they call them all? That
Yeah.
got access to
Lake Michigan.
Same as
Yeah, it's,
Muskegon.
Yeah, same as
Muskegon.
Flooded river mouth.
Flooded river mouth.
Yeah,
is what
flooded
it is.
river.
But they dredged a channel through there. Okay, that works.
How far is it from here?
From right here,
30 miles.
about 40 miles probably.
Takes you a good 45 minutes to get down there.
Are we down there, so it's south of here?
Yeah.
Holland, Michigan.
Holland,
Right in Holland.
There's 3 ramps on the lake.
Yeah, Teresa and then went to Holland.
you can walk that thing all day long.
Which expense of that?
All
I
day
wish
long.
we knew where it was, we fished it.
Black Lake or Macatawa?
The only problem it's got is it doesn't seem to have the northern pike population that the rest of them do.
Why is that?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
Is it musky?
The Borney said he caught a couple out.
But the, John, the DNR, nets, pike out of that, what do they call that bay, Chase? The big bay?
Oh,
Pine-
yeah,
Pine Creek Bay. They net pike out of there, but most of us never catch any out of there either.
You know, the thing with pike is they're like stripers. they could be in one area one day and one the next. And this time of year, with this late of year, they can be near their spawning areas yet, you know, and not came back yet. So,
Well, you said this late in the year. What do you mean this late?
well, not this late, but I mean, the way the spring we had, you know, as cold as it was.
Yeah.
So they may, you know, you might have to fish, you get 8 or 10 boats on there and really work it over before you found the area where they're at.
Well, what bothers me is this lake's loaded with pike, Mona Lake's loaded with pike. They all connect Lake Michigan. Why wouldn't that be loaded with pike?
Got it.
They do net breeder pike or for eggs at Macatawa.
And you don't think they put them back?
Oh, they put them back. I think we've been told that they go back into Lake Michigan because it's connected.
The fish do, they go back out into.
That's what we've been told by the DNR.
They don't all go.
No.
Because they don't go in the
Well,
other
they
way.
think the
There is some-
walleyes do too, because they've planted walleyes in there by the millions, but they don't seem to catch that many, you know. So the DNR thinks that they move back and forth, well, they do here too, as far as that goes.
I quite honestly, I find it extremely difficult to see how y'all deal with migratory style fish. And that's beyond, I don't comprehend.
Well, we try to tell them not to go, but they go.
I forgot about that one. See if I can draw them. That's going to be a little different. This is one of the best structures we found in Mona Lake. I'm going to draw the shoreline here so I don't get confused. We'll draw the bridge there, Danny. I'll start here. You tell me when I'm messing up, Danny.
Give an idea.
Let me start over here so I don't mess up bad.
John, how do you remember all those little curlicues?
I remember everything, and I can't remember anything
You're-
else. If it ain't got nothing to do with fishing, I can't remember.
Well, you just fish them a lot, right?
Yep. This whole break line here was the best structured situation in Mona. There's other ones, but this was by far the number one. This one had all these had about 25, 26 foot of water off the end of them. All of them were about the same. You have about 6 foot here, 6 foot here. Your break line's in here.
Breaks from about 6 feet, but there's a break line about 8.
There's one thing I did notice about these bars.
One at 12, one at 14,
They were extremely flat.
one at 16. There's one at 20.
Where it started breaking into the deepest water was about 20 feet. Up above that, the whole thing is just extremely flat. If I was to draw the bars like this, I would say this was 8 feet. This and anything inside was 8. Extremely flat. We'll call this a break line at 14. Call this 16, and a little bit of more of a flat, and then 20, and then right next to that, 26. It was a nice break line around 20 feet. I mean, I worked at the depth and couldn't catch fish off of it. There's a mud line in here. At this end of the lake, this is kind of like a reservoir. At this end of the lake, which should be the
South side.
what's the way does
It's
that
east
lake
and
run?
west.
East
Runs
and
east
west.
and west.
At the east end of the lake,
Yeah.
your mud line was about around 16 feet. The farther west you went, it got around 20 feet. Pretty much down in this area was about 20 feet. And then the farther you went down, the deeper the mud line got. And I worked that every year that I'm up here with no success. But I still gave it a good try.
This is still pre-spawn, post-spawn.
Yeah.
It might be different if you come back a month and a half now when
Yeah.
they drop off summer stuff.
But like I said, I've tried every time since I've been up here working at the death and haven't been successful. But this spot here, when we got into a school, Chuck and I up here, we got into a school of smallmouth on here. Just one cast after another, casting a 200, just as absolutely fast as you could reel, and boom, for, I don't know, 15 minutes straight. The northern pike, they use this like crazy. Ted got a nice muskie along here last year. Remember that well. Northern pike all over here. Northern pike here. Northerns here.
Is that in Mona?
Yeah, this is Mona. Beautiful structure.
See,
Absolutely
no weeds
beautiful.
at 6 feet?
The weeds start about 6 feet in most places.
Yeah, watercolor's much better.
Watercolor is much better. And this is just down the street here, about 3 miles.
Most of the smallmouth we catch are caught at 8 feet.
I wish you'd had this the first night, and then I'd went down Mona piece.
The northerns, we catch them 12 to 14.
That's about right. It's 10 to 14.
They tend to be a little deeper. Seems like when you catch a smallmouth, a piece any kind of size, 16, 18 inches, he'll be
Right here you
he'll
have
probably
a,
at 8 feet.
you got a little spill. You got a little spillway that comes in right there.
Yeah.
Did you notice this, Denny? Did you notice that we catch a ton of northerns right here?
Oh.
I mean, every year in, year out.
When you go there, if
They
nobody
are-
else has cranked that out, you can just about bet you're going to get bit right there.
They are always. I told Chase. Chase and I went there and we was having a pretty tough time. And I said, if there's one place that we're going to catch a northern, it's going to be right there. And I no more than got it out of my mouth, and boom, he got one, didn't you, Chase?
That's right.
Is it the end?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a cup or inside.
It's got 25 foot right there,
Yeah.
and I mean right up, pretty close to shore.
Just the bottleneck, the end.
Yep.
First pass through there with Jeannie, I got up here Thursday. It was about, what time we got here? About noon, 1 o'clock. First pass, I got one about 12 pounds. First, biggest northern I caught all my way up here, but that's where I got. We went about 12.
You know, all these
Beautiful.
lakes,
Nice one.
we've only fished these lakes 3 or 4 times apiece. And if we lived up here, you know, we'd sure check them out. We have the time to check out how all the deep water relates to all these spots.
And how,
But there's some big, big fish in this lake.
yeah.
I mean, here's the watercolor right here you're looking at.
You don't
Dark
catch
yellow green.
You don't catch many largemouths in these areas
No.
here. I caught some last year on the other side of the bridge, down towards Lake Michigan. I got into a spot of some small ones. What you catch there is northerns and you catch small. It just seems like the largemouth aren't there.
There are a few places in here where you have side feeder stream cuts that come
Yeah.
in that form bars out here,
Yeah.
and those are good also. We catch northerns and some smallmouth on there.
Yeah.
But the farther you go up, this is a bridge in Mona Lake. The farther you go up towards Lake Michigan, the clearer the water gets,
It gets a little clearer.
and it gets quite a bit clearer once you get up there. So you're fishing.
Bottom gets a little dirtier up there.
Is that structure east of the first bridge or in between the bridges?
This is
East.
East first bridge.
Yeah, this is east of the bridge.
Right before you get to the bridge, you know, that section there.
This bridge has pillars under there, and they go all the way. So that's a structure also. You could vertically jig around there, cast them a little bit. I'm sure those are productive.
Thing about them, they were biting your brother fishes.
Yeah, a lot of line there, boy. I should go through there and put
Don't
the
do it
line
on-
solid.
Don't do it on Saturday.
No.
No.
You get run over there on Saturday.
But you can see why we catch the northerns out around 12 and 14 feet.
Yeah.
They don't move up on the structures as good as some of the other fish
It
do. A
almost,
lot of times,
it almost looks like they push the smallmouth up on
a lot of times you get the smallmouth on the 8 foot, and you never touch a northern until you get down to 12 or
Hardly
14
ever catch
feet.
a smallmouth 12 or 14 feet. If you do, he'll be a stink. Every one you catch is almost at 8 foot.
The northern is a bigger predator over the smallmouth.
It's two.
Same.
If you want to catch the
It's about
2 or 3 pound smallmouth, the 250 buddy is a honey in there.
Well, then a muskie would be over him.
Well, yes, that's true. He would trump a.
So your largemouth is about 4th down the chain. Is that about right?
I don't think the
Third.
largemouth are doing very good in there.
No,
I would say that they use these areas right here.
in the back end. Yeah, right.
I would say they use those areas right there.
Although never caught them, John.
Well, we never fished back there.
Oh, back in them areas. Yeah,
Yeah.
the back ends of them
Back
creeks.
in the backs of your creeks
Creeks.
where your lily pads and your weeds and your stuff is like that.
And they're scared to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they. Then you got the walleye to deal with too.
There's walleyes in there too. You caught some, John, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can't call him a predator though, can he?
No.
Not compared to, I mean, he would be lower down the ladder,
I would
but
think
he
so.
probably is, once he gets a certain size, he's no longer desirable as food.
I think he's the ED, not the ED.
You had a couple big fish on in there, didn't you, Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them he didn't turn, so you don't know what it was.
I drug him a little bit. When he headed the other way, that was it.
There's flatheads in here, catfish.
Yeah, we caught a couple nice channel cat in here.
Yeah, channel cat. And they get big flatheads out here in this lake, don't they?
I don't see why you guys that live around here would want to fish any other lakes except for the ones that I described in here. I think you're nuts if you don't fish these lakes. I think you're nuts